This is the Pencil Pushers Podcast, a show, a place, a space dedicated to the amazing world of the hand-drawn arts and the people that make it happen. Each episode, we sit down with all kinds of creatives to explore their process, journey, and the amazing work they bring to the world. If this sounds like your kind of place, listen, like, subscribe, and join the conversation. Quick thing before we jump in, this episode is brought to you by Musgrave Pencil Company, and I couldn't be more excited about it. Musgrave's been making pencils right here in the USA for 110 years. If you want to grab some of your own, head to musgravepencil.com and use code PENCILPUSHERS, all caps, for 10% off. It even stacks with their new customer discount. Okay, on with the show. Welcome, folks, to another fine episode of the Pencil Pushers Podcast, where we celebrate the love of the hand-drawn arts. I'm, as always, your humble host, Mike Rosado, and today I'm excited to be joined by stop-motion animator and director Justin Rasch. Justin has been working 30 years across video games, television, and film, contributing to projects like ParaNorman and Kubo and the Two Strings, as well as work with studios like Blizzard, Netflix, Cartoon Network, and DreamWorks. He's also part of the team behind Guillermo del Toro's Oscar-winning Pinocchio. So it doesn't get much better than that, folks. He's currently a director, writer, and supervising animator at Stunt Puppet Pictures, where he creates award-winning independent films while also sharing his process online with a rapidly growing audience, which I'd love to talk to him about. In this conversation, we'll dig into his creative journey and what it takes to bring characters to life through animation. And there's no better person to talk to than this guy. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with Justin Rasch. Justin, welcome to the podcast. So great to have you here.
Hey, thanks, Mike. It's great to meet you.
Awesome.
Excited to be here.
Yes. So, as I always do, I love to kind of walk people through your story from the beginning a bit. And we're going to jump into technique. I want to talk about your workflow. I want to talk about the highlights of your career, the ups and downs. But firstly, let's start at the top a little bit. And as I've gotten to know you through doing some research, I know that you hail from Florida, right? You were born in Florida. I know you spent some time in Miami as well. But tell me about where that spark really came for you when it comes to creativity.
Starts with crayons, right? You just start drawing. So, I loved comic books. I loved funny papers. I loved cartoons, all those kind of really core things that get a little kid drawing.
Yeah.
And then, my mom was an artist as well. She wasn't a working artist, but she was an artist. So she was pretty supportive of that talent and exploration. And it started watching cartoons. Obviously, Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes, and then that kind of led into monster movies and special effects stuff and Disney. Growing up, we were in a very small town in Florida called LaBelle, Florida, where, there was no Hollywood. There was nothing like that. But I did go to a kid's house that had the Disney Channel when cable was first starting. And, and I got to see how animation was made just being over at his house once with some people flipping paper. And I'm like, wow, that's how they do it, right? Because I'm a little 5-year-old kid, and 6-year-old kid. And I was like, okay, so if I draw different poses, and then that's how they make the movement, right? So that kind of opened up a little thing in my head that was like, okay, that's how it's done. I know they do it at Disney. Disney World is up in Orlando, and Hollywood is way over there somewhere. So
there's a Hollywood, Florida too, isn't there?
There is a Hollywood, Florida, yes.
Slightly different scenario.
But Orlando was a lot more approachable to a kid growing up where I grew up, where it's like, okay, so I think it happens there sometimes. So that kind of opened the door to doing art and animation specifically.
Yeah, I grew up same sort of scenario, just looking at all the great, 30s, 40s, and 50s cartoons. Matter of fact, I got three. I think I have 3 little girls, and I'm constantly getting them to watch the classic Tom and Jerry cartoons, and they love it. Droopy.
They're freaking amazing.
They are so
to this day. They're amazing.
Listen, I hadn't watched good quality Tom and Jerry cartoons in
Yeah.
years. It's usually I see like clips on YouTube, and I got Tubi.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
Tubi, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh my god, it's so beautiful. Like,
Quality.
oh my,
So much quality.
I'm enamored by the not only the beauty of the painting, the background paintings, right, which were
Uh-huh.
gorgeous,
Yeah. Yeah.
colorful, rich, created such moods, but the animation is just primo
So
quality.
good.
It's
So good, man.
incredible, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I grew up, the first spark that I had, in animation where I decided that this is what I wanted to do as a career, even though my path, evolved, was Secret of NIMH. And
Ooh,
I know that for whatever reason that a light bulb turned on.
bingo. That's the
I was like,
seed.
holy shit, what
That,
an incredible movie.
dude, that is the seed that planted in me the true direction of going towards animation.
Yeah.
Specifically, you can't see it in this office, but my walls are covered with
Yeah.
Secret of NIMH
Wow.
cells.
Yeah.
So many like 90% of the cells on my wall are Secret of NIMH
Yeah.
because it was such an incredible impact in
Yes.
me as a young artist. I still completely, I watch it all the time. For my
Yeah.
50th birthday, my wife rented out the theater, and all of my brothers and sisters and all their kids came over, and she got a real print of Secret of NIMH, and we watched it on the big screen.
Oh my
That
god.
was my 50th birthday party
It
right
wasn't
there.
on film, was it?
It was on film. Yeah.
Oh my
They
god.
they sent away to UK to get a copy of the film so it could be projected. Yeah.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
incredible. Anyway,
Dude.
so
Yeah.
so clearly that was kind of like the big
Yep.
spark as far as animation's concerned.
Huge. Yeah, that was it. I was like, okay, fantasy, animation, color,
Yeah.
like, and also,
A bit of
you-
darkness.
yeah, bingo. And it was an adult thing. It didn't have, singing characters. It was an
Mhm.
adult story. It landed so hard, dude. It landed so hard. I was like, okay, that's what I want to do someday. Dream projects right there is my Secret of NIMH someday.
Was animation the direction at that point, and was it 2D at that point too?
Everything was 2D.
Okay.
Everything was 2D until probably teenage years.
Okay.
And even then it was all 2D, but what I started to really want to do was special effects and really wanted to get into physical filmmaking, if that makes sense. So 2D was always a part of it and it was going there, but I really fell in love with Harryhausen. I really fell in love with Phil Tippett. Like all the special effects of the 80s
Mm-hmm.
were so incredibly inspiring to me as well.
Yeah.
And, as I was maturing more and more too, I was really interested in telling stories, more adult stories too. So I was interested in exploring the physicality, stop motion and puppet making and everything. But 2D was always the base, no matter what. So when I did choose to go to art school, which happened, I chose a school with my brother to go to a school that taught 2D animation.
Was that Ringling?
No, it was actually Art Institute of Pittsburgh,
Okay. Yeah.
but they had a focus on special effects, right? So
Interesting.
it was called industrial design. So
Okay.
the first 6 quarters, you're doing, 2D animation, basically of 8 quarters. And you, at the same time, are learning molds and puppets and paint and casting and,
Mhm.
everything you would need to do special effects, animatronics, armatures.
Wow.
So that was what we wanted to do, right? Because we were growing up reading Fangoria magazines
Oh
and
yeah.
heavy metal and all the comics and everything. So we just wanted to do everything
Yeah.
like that. So that's where it went.
Did you have any mentors at that time, that you were influenced by or anything like that at the school?
We had zero connection to that world
Wow.
outside of those magazines, right?
Yeah.
So that was where you got your little peek into how something was done on a movie, or you got a little peek into like that. I just happened to be over at Tommy Chipman's house, who had Disney Channel when I was a kid, and I saw the flipping of paper.
Mhm.
I wouldn't have known that, right?
Yeah.
Unless I'm seen a little glimpse of that because there was no internet, right? It's all
Right.
magazines. You have
Right.
Starlog magazine, you have Fangoria, you have, I mean, Cinefex came in the 90s and stuff like that.
I don't know if you were into this one, but I was definitely into Animation Magazine too,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
was a good one.
yeah. And I've subscribed to that for many, 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 many years. But even then, you just get some articles, right? And like, uh, it wasn't that apparent how you get there.
Yeah.
And then, I knew how it was done at that point, especially having gone to college. You're doing pencil tests, you're working with pros that had worked in the industry. Like there was a pathway that was going to go there eventually.
Mm. Obviously, stop motion is probably the thing that you're most known for. Um, and correct me if I'm wrong. That is true, right? I mean,
Well, only because of this. This is the crazy thing is I just hit my 30th year in animation, right? So I've been doing this for 30 years now in 3 different mediums.
right.
So started in
2D.
2D, got into CG because that was right when the world changed. And then I worked in CG for 12 years or so before I decided to try stop motion.
Yeah.
And when I decided to try stop motion, I fell in love, of course. And then all of a sudden, say year 20 something in my career, social media appears, right? So my notoriety on the internet did, lots of 2D stuff in the very beginning that no one's ever seen, right? So there's like yes, I am known for stop motion, but I've done way more CG. And if you go do a little digging, I've worked on a lot of big CG shorts that have, you know, been seen a lot of times too. They just don't
Nice.
know it.
That's great. What is it that made stop motion stand out so much? Do you think it's just the physicalness
Yeah, I'm a
that
super
draws people
physical
in?
dude.
Oh yeah, you're into martial arts and
Everything
yeah.
tangible is really special. And I've always loved sculpting. And like I said, like that was a big part of it. So I like to draw and then I like to sculpt my character in 3D and feel it, right? So having worked in CG for 12 years or whatever it was at the point I decided to try stop motion, all of my work had become digital, right? So I didn't have physical artwork in my house anymore.
Wow.
I didn't have drawings for years. I
Yeah.
didn't, unless I was starting a new short film, which is character designs and maybe some storyboards. Yeah, that's it. And so I'd go like 2-year gaps where I wouldn't even draw. And I'm like, this is so crazy. And then when I said, okay, the next short film I'm going to do, which because I would do short films my whole career post college, I said I'm going to do it in stop motion because my grandma came over and she said, "Show me your artwork," and I had nothing to show her. I was like, "Oh, okay." I have to like turn on a computer and I have to go to level 7 of a video game to show the boss fight or whatever it's going to be, the
Right.
cinematics. And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, that sucks. I want to show her some artwork," and it kind of triggered me into the physical world. So then, and I always wanted to do stop motion anyways. So when I tried it, I was like, "Oh my god, this is an incredible fit."
Yeah.
And then this is the piece of the story that we didn't talk about is I was in art school with going towards a film background, physical effects and
Remember you saw Jurassic Park, right?
yeah, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Boom, it came out and I changed my major the next morning with my guidance counselor to learn CG animation. I get put into this new program, CAM, computer animation, and he goes towards movies and all the stuff we always grew up wanting to do. And I'm going towards this new world of computer animation, which still was majority of the education was 2D, but you learn programs at the last 2 quarters of the school that you would then apply to a job, which was exactly what I needed to do because I had a kid and I needed to have some security. And and then that was it, man. I switched and then found work right out of college, huge wave, and then entered this new industry. But I was leaving behind all of these things that I loved by going towards the computer. So that was a big change.
What was the first break for you at that point?
Well, okay. Yeah. So I went to LA. My dad bought me a ticket to Venice Beach.
Okay.
And I went out there with a sleeping bag full of portfolios
Oh
and
my
VHS tapes.
God.
And me and my buddy were, sleeping on the beach because they had showers and everything. And he was taking me all over Venice Beach on the blue bus to the studios like DreamWorks, Digital Domain, blah, 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 Activision, any of these major companies. And I was literally walking in because it was a different world in the 90s. And I'd be like, can I see someone with my portfolio? And people would come talk to me. You know what I mean? At like major studios. And they look at my stuff. And then I got interviews. And so I ended up getting a bunch of offers during that time. Digital Domain was the digital one. They were getting ready for Titanic at the time.
Okay.
And then Class B Supo, which was working on Rugrats the movie. And I think there was some CG in there too, but it was a hand-drawn
Right.
show.
Right.
So the whole show was 2D. And so it was a 6-month opportunity on Rugrats. And I had another opportunity with the Japanese video game company that was full-time for years, twice the money, security, insurance, all the things you need as a parent. So my first break was a studio called Konami, which was a Japanese video game company.
Yeah. Okay.
So they did huge games, and they still do, all through the 80s.
Konami.
Yep, Konami. So Konami, they did like Prince of Persia, they did Ninja Turtles, they did Contra, like all these 80s Nintendo huge games,
Yeah.
like
Huge.
Metal Gear Solid, like Castlevania, like
Yeah.
these games I grew up playing. And so I'm like, wow, I would have never thought I'd be working in video games. Like that was the last place I thought I would go as an artist, but they were hiring and paying very well. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I ended up going to Chicago and working for Konami, a Japanese video game company, for my first break. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you there for quite a while at that point?
2.5 years. Yeah.
2.5 years? Right. Gotcha. I know you were saying that for a few years you were working in 2D, but then was it full on CG at that point, including video games?
It was transitioning sprite-based character video games to this new 3D stuff. So there was still some sprite-based stuff happening at the studio. And
Can
then
you
it
explain
was,
what that is?
so sprite-based animation is 2D animation. It's just pixel animation. So a lot of retro games these days are liking kind of the chunkier look to the presentation of low bit artwork,
Yeah.
and so we would basically go in and draw frames, poses, just like 2D animation, minimal poses for like a walk cycle. You might have 5 frames or something like that, or you might have, jumps, which was more posing than anything. And then attacks or whatever the moves were, but it was a move-based system all done in 2D where, it would be alphaed out any of the green screens type stuff and then put over backgrounds, which were also painted in 2D. And then, it was all platformer kind of side scroller stuff back then. But that was right at the transition where PlayStation 1 was out and the new Nintendo 64 was the up and coming crazy thing that we were going to be developing for at the studio as the next generation of 3D gaming.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And how long were you in gaming at that point? Like,
that was my first job right there. So I made the decision to go with them, and then that was my ride. I was in Chicago for about 6-7 months before they opened up a San Francisco division. And I said, yeah, I want to go there. So they shipped us, most of the company got shipped out to San Francisco. And I wanted to be closer to California because my brother, what I thought I'd be doing after art school was going to California. And so, yeah, man, that's where the transition happened. And then lived in San Fran for about 1.5 years or 2 more years after that. And then came down to Southern California.
and then what happened? What was the next career move when you moved down to SoCal?
So after I moved down, which is kind of funny, is I got 2 more big offers down there. One was from Blizzard Entertainment, which is where I work now.
Yeah.
Which would have been so different if I would have got in to Blizzard, made that choice back then. My whole world would have been so different. So I'm really glad that I took the path I did. But Blizzard was about to blow up to be this enormous success.
Yeah.
But back then it was just a bunch of nerds in a room making a video game, right? And it's cool. We're drawing orcs. I remember for the interview, they just sat me down and said, draw us a female warrior. And then, 3 guys are standing over me like this. And I'm like, oh, terrified to do this, but it was fun. Um, and then there was a company called Luxoflux, which was an indie video game company that then got bought by Activision because Activision was, they were funding the gameplay or game development. And then they're like, oh, this is a big success. Let's buy it. So I went to this little indie studio after being at kind of a big Japanese corporation. And it felt so cool because it was like 6 guys. And it was like everything was so tight and everyone was so like responsible. And, there was no fat on this. It was super lean industry. And then a British programmer guy that he teamed up with. And they just made a huge American Dream success game company that did awesome. So I loved working for them so much.
Wow. And you were there for how long?
I was there for 7 years. So I saw that place go from that little tiny group to, multi teams, multi successful games, and then purchased by Activision. It was awesome. It was great.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is kind of cool for anyone who doesn't know this, but when back in the early 90s, like if you got hired at a video game company or any kind of art, you were hired as an artist.
Yeah.
They didn't specialize you as you're just an animator, you're just an environment guy, you're just an effects guy, whatever, like all the different roles. Like I did character design, I did level design, I did boss fights, I did animation, I did everything. Art designs. But what happened is my specialty, of course, is animation, right? That's where my strongest ability was there. So I kept getting given more and more responsibility on the animation side. And then eventually by, say that's 95, by 99, 4 years later, you are a specialist. Everything started being like, okay, this person's doing all environment. This person's doing all texture painting. This person is doing all design. Like every role was really specialized. So I just was at that point animator, and then I became lead animator, and then I became animation director at that point.
And were you working on multiple projects at the same time?
Typically, that's not the case. But in this transition from a small company to the larger company, we had 2 games going on that were both going to be pretty big. We had a Shrek title because we had a DreamWorks connection there. And then we had an original title called True Crime, Streets of LA, which was kind of in the early Grand Theft Auto days. And its whole thing was that it's actually a realized, you can go anywhere you want. You can go to your house in LA and go up to the front of it and do whatever. Like they mapped it out perfectly. 2000, 2001, somewhere like that. It was really fresh, and it had, an amazing soundtrack with all these huge stars and then lots of kung fu and gunfights, and like it was really big. It was a huge hit. So it went, super mega platinum, sold jillions of copies, and then they made a sequel. So I was being part of both projects at the same time, even though my focus as my job was to lead the Shrek stuff. But I was doing motion capture for their project. I was, helping out on cinematics.
Video games in particular, like it's so outside of my realm of understanding. What is a day-to-day, role as a lead animator look like? I mean, is it intensive in the same way that, say, a traditional 2D animated project would be, or say, stop motion animation?
I think so. Especially these days. Back then, you might, I might hand off a character like, hey, you, Mike, you're doing this character, right? Is it a boss? Is it a playable character? Is it a enemy? As a creative person, I'm like, okay, I want you to create this. Here's the designer giving you the animation list, the specs, what we need, what we want. Here's the character design. So I want you to, as an artist, create movement and character for this character. So I gave a lot of room for the artist to create there. But if things weren't working, that's when I came in. Or if things could be improved, that's when I give notes, right? So like just like a regular animation director. So
Yeah.
you're reviewing, key moments like choices in any
In
particular
action.
animation,
Mm-hmm.
overall, scope, because everything's hub based in video games. Like, is the idle strong enough? Is this going to be able to do all the different things that need to come out of it? And then there's cinematics, which is a very different thing, right? So like you're actually giving feedback on blocking out a scene, how the animation looks, is the facial performance good, is the so you're just giving like dailies notes like you
Mm,
would on any other production
mm,
as
mm.
they're ready to show you something, or if deadlines are coming up, you're getting feedback as it goes. Check-ins.
I want to take a minute on the folks making this episode possible. Musgrave Pencil Company. If you've been around the show long enough, you know I have a soft spot for tools you can hold in your hand, and Musgrave is the real deal. They've been making pencils in the USA for over 110 years. Same craft, same care, supporting artists, builders, and anyone who takes a raw idea and turns it into something real. With 24 premium drawing pencils and an eraser, because mistakes are part of the creative process, as we know, in a handmade cherrywood box, the artist set is what I've been reaching for lately. But what I really love is that Musgrave makes pencils for every kind of creative work. Whether you're drawing, designing, building, or just jotting down tomorrow's to-do list, they've got a pencil that fits. If you want to put one in your own hand, go to musgravepencil.com and use code PENCILPUSHERS for 10% off. It stacks with their new customer discount, so it's a great time to try them. Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Now, how did that sort of transition into your work when you started working in stop motion animation? So it seems your trajectory from 2D to, gaming and doing CG work and then moving into stop motion animation, it seems like you were able to like excel so easily with all three of these to some degree. I know you were doing maybe 2D less than the others, and differences between being an animator in CG versus stop motion.
So the craft, that's the word we use, right, to describe the animation craft. If you've ever opened up an animation book, they're all starting 2D. They're all about 2D because that's where it started, right? So the craft, which is the principles of animation, the things that make good animation work, apply to every single medium.
Mm.
Same stuff applies in CG, same stuff applies in stop motion. If you understand the craft, you're going to be able to apply it and make animation that's going to be better than most people. The problems are inherent to specific medium, like a puppet won't stand on its own, right? Like a drawing or like a CG character that doesn't have gravity. Proportions are very real in stop motion that you don't have to think about it all in 2D in the same way. You stretch and squash all over the place. In CG, nowadays, the tools are a lot better where you can really deform characters and they're a lot more pliable than they used to be.
Right,
So
right.
you can apply a lot of the
Squash
same
and
stuff.
stretch. Mm.
It's not straight ahead. So CG in that way and 2D share a lot of exploration in the blocking phase when you're just dropping in poses and then adjusting. You can always adjust easily in CG. Stop motion is like you are starting at frame one and you go all the way to the end.
Yeah.
So if you're blocking, you have to take the time to figure that out by just moving the character and holding poses, just like you would in 2D,
Right.
till you get to the end. So again, it's applying the craft. But the reason I was able to succeed so quickly, because it only took me about 6 months to get pretty darn good at stop motion, was because I understood the craft. And then I also, being a physical person, I think it translates from my brain to a physical body really well because I understand weight, balance,
Right.
energy, force, compression, expansion, like all these things that really lend themselves to good stop motion. So I think that's what it was.
That's such a interesting point too, because frankly, I was just talking to the designers on my team in office today, and I was sharing about your work, and Lauren, who's a fantastic illustrator and loves animation, she was just ogling over the physicalness and the understanding of physics and weight distribution. So her question was, how do you how do you figure that out so well? And it seems to me like your understanding of physical space, being somebody who's very athletic and into martial arts, and a lot of people have discovered Justin's stuff on social media, you'll see that he does and showcases a lot of the, I guess, reference
Yeah.
video
Yeah.
that you use as fodder for when you're actually going back and doing the animation, which is a very common practice in animation in general.
Yeah. And
So,
honestly, part of what I do when I'm sharing that stuff online, the action reference, part of that is that's how we communicate to clients.
right.
It really is more than even using for reference. It's how we quickly communicate our animatics. Because when we used to draw our storyboards, clients would often be like, I don't know what I'm looking at. Is this, I don't get it. Is it confused? Like it wasn't clear. And then while I was at Blizzard, some of the directors would go out and shoot live action of our stuff. So we had a realistic timing. We had the same camera angles, same perspectives for our animatics. And then when that went to what is called previs these days, which is 3D storyboards, everything was 1-to-1. It was so much more clear because like I'm having this problem right now. I had a bunch of storyboards that were 2D, look great in 2D. Soon
Right.
as it goes to 3D, I'm like, these are way too fast.
Right.
This does not work. Right. So that, but back to what you were saying, absolutely. My background makes a huge difference in understanding timing and spacing, weight and force. And just like flipping papers in 2D, right? Like we have tools now that we didn't used to have in the old days where you get playback, right? So like
Right.
I have my frames. Every frame I save or shoot, I now can hit play and it
Right.
plays. And I can see.
Yeah.
And what I mean by see is I can feel action. I can feel a character taking weight. And I'm like, oh, it needs a little more. Oh, I hit play and I'm like, tick, 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 tick. I'm flipping that paper. And then I'm like, okay, now good, go. Continue with your spacing, moving to the next motion. So that's how I think I am able to do that with my background help. And then just the idea of playback is a huge part of being able to understand if something feels powerful enough, feels too quick, feels too slow, whatever it is. So
How do you work on the scene from start to finish? Like, what sort of do you kind of do initial passes, even on one sheet of paper, of how the action will go before you start doing stuff with the actual model itself?
it's crazy to think, but I've been doing now stop motion for over 15 years.
An X sheet
At which frame a certain pose will happen, if that makes clear.
or
So
action,
frame 20, I want to have this pose, this animation pose. Frame 48, I want to have this extreme key. Like, so you just kind of make a treasure map of your plan for an animation. Years and years I did that. And what I kept finding in stop motion was my drawings could do things my puppets could never do.
Mm.
So I was constantly being like, like, I'm like, that sucks. I did all this planning and I can't make that shape. Right. So what I ended up doing now, when I have time, I can't do this like on my social media stuff, but any feature film or larger, financial production,
Yeah.
I will block it out. So instead of doing thumbnails, I block my shapes and poses over. So if I have a 5-second animation, I'll put in all the poses and breakdown keys that I want to explore as I see, and then I can hit play and be like, oh, there's my animation. There's the key poses, just like those papers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I go back and we do a rehearsal. And a rehearsal means you shoot the whole thing on twos.
Okay.
And now you get a really good representation of what the animation is going to look like, right?
Mm.
So will look like something from Aardman. If you've ever watched Wallace and Gromit, it's not quite as smooth as like Leica or a feature film, but it looks good. You certainly can track the animation. And that's like, old school Saturday morning cartoons on twos, right? So now after that the director has seen that, they'll give me notes, my final notes on any pose changes or timing changes. And then I take that and I start over a third time
Not
and I
on
shoot
ones.
24 frames per second.
You do. Oh my God. You do it on ones?
Yeah, everything features on ones. And honestly, a lot of what I do is on ones here at the studio too, because it just looks so juicy.
My
It
God.
looks so good that I like to work. I like to put in ones, especially in fast actions, as much as possible.
Now, what about like, for example, in traditional animation, you'll have an animator who is a key animator, and then you have like an in-betweener. I'm assuming that is not the case for stop motion. It's all you,
This
baby.
guy, yeah, we do it all. There's no in betweening. There's
Now,
not even, dude. There's not even a way to do in betweening. Like if that was a concept,
right.
if you're doing animation, every time you touch a puppet,
It
there's
changes.
a slight change, right? A slight perspective switch.
And
And
only
if
you
you're
know.
not tracking that in a very unified way,
Yeah.
there's giant pops, right? So if you're looking at something on a big screen, the slightest shirt could just be a "Pah!" and it looks like a shotgun blew up on the big screen, right? So like, it's so, to really keep it clean and professional looking, you have to coax your character through to the next pose, and then from there to the next pose, and from here to that, whatever that bounce of feeling weight. So yeah, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
It would have to be very low frame rate to kind of have people jump in, because it's always not going to be in the right space dimensionally.
By the way, it's so remarkable to me how advanced stop motion animation is these days, right? I mean, go back and I look at like the Mark Twain adventures or Vinton Studio stuff, and still really great. But these days, I mean, with technology and how you can green screen,
Yeah.
it feels incredible to me because of the physicality of it, the way there's something about the practical effects of stop motion animation. I'm actually, and marrying that with the technology that's there to help sort of, remove the puppeteer. Why don't they just do stop motion animation? Because it physically looks like it's in the world, because it actually is. And with the technology that's there to create lighting and get it immersed inside. Did you ever think about that? Like, why don't they just do stop motion?
Think about it all the time, because what I want to do is make a monster movie.
Yeah,
I want to make a live action monster movie with
like
a stop motion monster,
Titans style. Yes,
right now that's my super dream.
Yeah.
The reason they don't do it, and I'll tell you exactly why, is because they can't control it. Producers, directors want to be able to say, "Oh, a little bit this way, a little bit of that. Can you make this different?" They want to control it, and you cannot control stop motion.
Yeah,
you can't control it. At most, you get a block, a rehearse, and then the final. At most. And that's if they got a budget. If they don't have a budget, you're going pretty much right to shoot, or lucky if you get a slight block. I know, because I work on lots of, lower budget as well as high budget features, and you have to be okay with it being a raw thing. It's raw. It is what it is. When you get to the end of that, that is a piece of performance art that just came out of a human being to the highest level they could, and you can't control it. All you can do is, coax it. I swear, hey, maybe you want to go this way, and it's the only way to do it, because you can't even repeat. Even when we block, rehearse, and shoot, every one of those is slightly different.
Right.
You can't be hitting that same exact pose, the same exact framing. It's always going to be a little bit different. So that's the main reason, I think, is that. And I do believe somebody is going to figure it out, because like, if you're watching any of the new Star Wars stuff,
that's what I was gonna say. Mandalorian has a few scenes that are stop motion that look incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's proof positive that it can be done.
So easily can be done. And the only reason that's happening is because Jon Favreau loves stop motion.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And he grew up with the same shit we did from our generation.
Yeah, for sure. And it's one of those situations where, you have to be excited for this,
Sure,
and it's
sure.
perfect timing.
Yeah.
They're getting Spa Studios from Spain to work on the animation, and again, it goes back to Jon Favreau, who is an '80s kid who I'm optimistic about that now.
Oswald, the
Oswald,
lucky
thank
rabbit.
you, thank
Oswald, the
you.
lucky rabbit. Yeah.
Yes.
No.
So I was very
Yeah.
excited to see that. Now,
Yeah.
talking about that though, you've worked with Travis Knight and you've worked with Guillermo del Toro. What was it like just generally working with those creative leaders who are clearly um, exceptional directors and visionaries in their own right?
Okay. Every director is different, right? Every single director I've ever had my whole life has a completely different expectation and way of communicating and energy, even, right? So you have to adapt as an artist to every single one of them. So Travis, first off, is an incredible animator. He's one of the best animators in the world.
Wow.
So right off the bat, there's a street credit. He's not just, some guy that lucked into his position, like
Yeah.
one of those guys that's going to prove it to you. And he's going to work twice as hard as you to prove that he deserves where he's at and what he's done. So
Yeah.
I have huge respect for him. I love working for him. He communicates incredibly well.
Wow.
And he's incredibly clear in his direction and what he wants. So it can seem hard sometimes, is what that would be my only feedback. But I come from like a hard dad and a hard kind of world of the old days where people didn't care about your emotions very much. So I appreciate it. It's not sensitive. It's dead clear.
Yeah.
And it's working or it's not working.
Yeah.
Right?
And you need that from somebody who's controlling an army, who's trying to lead an army towards a victory.
Yeah. And has a clear vision of where we're going and what this is going to be. So I loved working for Travis. And I just finished, Wildwood, which is the latest one that he directed and also is coming out. Just the trailer came out today. Yeah.
Oh, it looks gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. It's really, really cool. And if there was a boundary to what stop motion could do, like smashed it every time. He does that every time, but there's no limits to the stories he's going to tell. He's like, figure it out. Right. How are we gonna do? How George Lucas used to always do that thing? Think about it. He'll give some impossible task and they'll say, we can't do that, George. We can't do that. And he's like, well, think about it. And then they go away for a minute and then they come back with the solution and they're like, holy crap, we've got a Moco shot of a Tauntaun running across Hoth.
Yeah.
And we figured it out. And it looks amazing, right? Like that was an impossible thing at first glance, right? Or first talk. So yes, smashes every expectation. I love working for Travis. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm a huge He-Man fan as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was in the halls of Leica, when it was announced that he was going to be directing the next He-Man movie, people kind of walked up to me, Justin, did you hear it? I'm like, what? No, I didn't hear what? Travis is directing the new He-Man. I'm like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is like, the universe is like throwing juices because I've been directing He-Mans for the last 5 years for Mattel. And I'm just a huge fan anyway. So it made me, and I know Travis is a He-Man fan. So I was like, okay, here we go. Yeah.
Have you seen it yet?
I have not seen it, but I've talked to him a few times over text and stuff like that with the supervisor, animation supervisor. And I've kind of been like, dude, I'm feeling excited. And like this kind of, I wanted so bad. I'm like, I just want to be on set. I want to play guard number 7 or something like, I dorked out with him because he was transitioning. He was doing Wildwood and that kind of at the same time. So like that dude had a stop motion studio when he was a young man. Yeah. Back in freaking Mexico.
Oh my God. I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's an old school effects guy, movie guy. Like
he's a killer artist too. He can,
and dude, he's a great human being and as charming as you can ever picture a human being to be. That dude is so eloquent in communication. He's so human in like, sometimes I would always say, like, you meet a director and they feel like gods, right? Guillermo absolutely has all the power of a god director because we know how exceptional he is and how deeply everything is thought out and considered. And he's an incredible artist, but he feels like a human
Mm-hmm.
and he relates to you as a human. You're not a peon.
Yeah.
He respects what we do as animators so much and really appreciates the magic that we're
Craft.
providing to his film. So it felt really, really special, really special. I was like, oh my God, I would do anything for this guy. I love working on anything he's creating. I'm sure that's like that for any actor who's ever been on any of his films. And like, it's so rich and deep and he is such a special human. He really is that, I was kind of in awe and honored and also just excited to be able to connect. But man, he's in for stop motion. And it was like to have him on board with stop motion is like, it's a win. Because it used to be just Tim Burton for like 2 centuries or whatever, you know? That's all we had. And now it feels like we have so many more artists that are directors that are using the medium and thinking about the medium.
Yeah. It's obvious you're incredibly excited about your work right now.
I love stop motion and filmmaking so much.
Yeah.
So much, man. Yeah.
What are you most excited about for the future?
But I think it's super valid because it's the world we live in right now. Everything's changing, right? So it's absolutely going to decimate so many people for so long. It's going to come in and destroy. But I'm not a worry guy. I've never been a worry guy. And I'm also of the type that I'm like, I'm going to do this no matter what. I don't care if there's AI. This is what I do. This is what I love.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to, if it's 2D animation, if it's CG animation, stop motion, I'm doing this because I love it. So I feel like stop motion is not an antidote, but it is offering some balance in the world of sugars, cavity creeps, and then maybe some steaky steak, some real veggies and meat kind of things going on here. So human beings crave connection, humanity, real stuff. And I remember this because I was part of the CG wave, right? Like I grew up loving Dark Crystal, Never Ending Story, Labyrinth, Jim Henson, like Harryhausen, everything was real. And when CG came in, I resented it as much as I was like, God damn, Jurassic Park was amazeballs, right? Like, I'm like, that mix of having the close-ups with practical dinosaurs and then some of the wides with the CG dinosaurs was kind of perfect, right? So, but if I didn't have some of those close-ups, I would have always disconnected just a little bit from that CG. So that's how I feel when I get every day on my social media and people are showing me all these awesome AI videos of stuff that I like, or funny characters doing things, or what like most recently is people are taking the toys and AIing them because that's a directly connecting to me as the animator of the toys. But it looks like sugar. It's too perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's sweet. It took very little effort.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone takes it for granted. You know what I mean? So what I've found is that because I am connecting my work and then how I do my work is now the new entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm finding showing my process.
Yes.
I'll show a video. It'll get, like, if it goes viral, 1 million views, right? And then I'll show how I did it and I get 30 million views. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, that's interesting. People want to know how the sausage is made. Yeah. They also want to see the human making the sausage. Like, so there's something there. It's a Absolutely. New entertainment. It's raw. You can still feel that it's real, mm-hmm. even though, like, I have AI bros sending me videos of like, hey dude, I trained my AI system on your stop motion. You're wasting your life. And then they show me the videos of them doing, like fake stop motion, right? And I'm
Right.
like, cool, dude. They're doing fake BTS. They're like, dude, I took your time lapses and I AI'd myself doing time lapses so I can steal your BTS. You're wasting your life. Total douches, man, these
Oh
people.
my God.
And I'm like, well, thanks for training your AI system on my videos. That's great, whatever. But it still tastes like sugar. It still tastes like sugar. And there's something to it because it doesn't look right to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe they'll get it. Maybe they'll go there. But then it'll be more about connecting to the human behind the art,
Mhm.
literally on the phone, right? Like, so that's the thing I'm going to be doing as I'm moving into this new phase of our studio and entertainment is I'm going to be putting my face out there more. So it's not just my work. Now I'm going to be reaching out to make sure you know that guy
Yeah.
in a personal
Smart.
way, in a human way, as well as just being entertained by the things that are created, right? So that's the human side of it, which is my counterbalance. And also I'm hoping, but I know it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a lot of our CG stuff. It's gonna hurt a lot of 2D stuff. It's gonna hurt everybody at first because it's cheap, fast, and that matters in the world of entertainment and a lot of situations. But I see pushback because a lot of people that are asking us for jobs are saying what they're wanting is the human stuff as a
Totally.
counterbalance. So they're actively looking for that too.
And I've been seeing a lot of like the younger gen also being very much enamored by the process of handcrafted work too. I think it just needs to be people like you continuing to do the BDS type stuff. We're doing that a lot too, showing hand drawn, custom branding that we do. Our illustrations, we always constantly doing like video of us actually working on the sketching digital art.
For
Still,
sure.
they love to see that, and
Yeah.
that's actually what brings people closer to wanting to be a part of that as a career. Because when we were growing up, we would watch those behind the scenes,
Yeah. Yeah.
like behind the scenes of Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Oh, there's somebody actually going back to
Yeah.
what you're saying, page by page. Justin, it's incredible talking to you. Where can people find you so that they can dial you up?
Well, my Instagram, Justin_Rasch_official. And then my YouTube is just Justin Rasch Animation.
Awesome.
And those two places, you're going to be able to see all kinds of stuff that I do on the regular.
Amazing. Great talking to you, Justin. And looking forward to seeing your next big project and our next time that we can chat.
Right on, man. Good to meet you too. Thanks.
Okay, man. See ya. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with us. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram for all things Pencil Pushers at the Pencil Pushers Podcast. And if you want to see what I'm up to, you can check out my brand studio on Instagram at MRC Brand Design and my own personal spot at Ikimo Dasser. That's my name, Mike Rosado, spelled backwards. EKIMODASOR. So that wraps it up for me. Until the next one, be safe, be kind, and see you next time.